We continue with our Gold Cup prediction videos with Group B in this one. Now, if you don't know, we're doing a video for each group individually, so make sure to check those out. And we are also going to be going to some Gold Cup games and vlogging our experience for you guys, so make sure to subscribe for those in the next few weeks. Let's do Group B, Canada, Curacao, El Salvador, and Honduras. We're going to go back to front, per usual, 4th through 1st, and determine how this group is going to finish. Number 4, and this is going to be a good group to talk about. Number 4, whoever wants to shout it out right now, would be who for you guys?
Honduras.
No, you didn't.
No, I'm joking.
No, oh my god.
I had to. My bias is strong, but it's not that strong. You know what I mean?
I don't know. It's pretty strong.
Hey, they're
pretty
just joke
strong.
artists. I was just like, I'm just saying.
Wow, didn't even answer the question. Number 4 is who for you, my friend?
Curacao, unfortunately. I don't want to dog on them too much, but they are first in the World Cup qualifying group, so shout out them. I mean, it's a really easy group. I'm not gonna say who's in it, but it's not hard. So, but shout out them anyways. Participation medal goes out to them. I got nothing against the Curacaoian people. I don't know exactly, but I have nothing against you guys. Nothing against the national team. It's just strictly business. Please back me up so I don't look like a dick.
Anyone else? Does anyone want to back him up there?
I'm gonna have to agree.
Yes.
Yeah, I just think the other teams are way better. But I think Curacao is a cool name. And it'd be cool to visit one day.
No.
I'm going to stand up for my boys. I'm going to put El Salvador at 4th.
Wow.
Don't disrespect my boys.
Wow.
I don't like that.
The hate.
I didn't know he was
too much hate.
I don't know he was boys with the Curacaoians. I don't know he was boys with the Curacaoians.
Calm down, bro.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Well, Joaquin, all right, why?
Okay, I don't know if this is like too far history, but I'm just saying the last time they played, they won 2-1 against El Salvador. 2022, but they won.
That's not that long ago. That's not that long ago.
3 years ago.
And
Let's go.
Their team is it's not the strongest, but honestly, I feel like they could finish above, El Salvador just personally. And I don't know. I believe in them.
I like it. I'm going to go with Joaquin here. El Salvador, footballing wise, doesn't do anything. And it's a shame because El Salvador should. They deserve it. They just don't. It just doesn't happen. And I don't think nothing about this team right now inspires me in regards to this group. Right. Whereas Curacao have some good players, man. They have some players playing for some good clubs around the world consistently. They have a good team. It's just Curacao also just haven't been making waves in Concacaf. I feel like Curacao at one point was in the same spot that Honduras is now. In and around the top 10 when they had just a little bit better players. But yeah, I'm going to go with you on this one. El Salvador's finishing in 4th place.
We really need
Shout
a
out,
tiebreaker, bro.
Dick
It's
Advocate, their head coach.
Shout out who? Who?
The GOAT. The FM GOAT.
Dick Advocate. Amen, brother. Amen.
The GOAT.
Hey,
as a group of Dick Advocates ourselves, I would say we have to back up the brother alongside us.
Brother.
We have to back up our friend alongside us. Like I said, Curacao has had some great players. They are very consistently atop the standings in regards to for lack of better terms, the other teams in CONCACAF, right? They are just in between the top ones and the not so top ones. Very middle of the pack team. But I like Curacao a lot, man. They get their wins where they need to, and when they don't want to, they don't. I mean, they have a good team. I think Curacao has enough to finish 4th here. But Curacao also, let me just backtrack here just to be sure. Curacao does play, is it El Salvador first? They do play El Salvador first. So I think it's going to be one of those again, right? Where depending on who wins that is going to be the difference maker. I think whoever wins that finishes in 3rd. So I'm going to assume going into 3rd place, Diego and Andres, you guys have El Salvador or no? Okay. All right. We'll go with Diego. Diego, you have El Salvador in 3rd, or you have Honduras in 3rd?
Logically speaking, I have El Salvador in 3rd.
But
even though bias-wise, I was going to put them 2nd, but I have them in 3rd. I think that El Salvador probably can beat Curacao. It's not going to be a game that I would say they would definitely beat because obviously I don't think Curacao that much worse by any means. I think it's pretty clear that well, I would say that those two are probably on the lower end of the talent pool, compared to the other two that in the group. But with that being said, El Salvador, I'm rooting for them. And if they, not that they've ever really surprised in any tournaments, but you know how you start doing that, you do it in the tournaments. I'm just saying, if they want to go and surprise me out there and start showing up a little bit,
Just you, though.
I'm all for it. I'm here for it.
Can I real quickly
Yeah,
say,
just me.
for context in regards to this video,
Yeah.
Diego's Salvadorian girlfriend may or may not be outside that door behind him right now, threatening him over text. So that might be the reason why he's putting El Salvador maybe in second, but
I put him in
it
third.
out there.
I put him in third.
Okay. But there's the idea there.
I was leaning towards second, but I put him in third.
Okay. All right.
So, anyways, yep. That's
Yeah.
fine. That's fine.
We can move on to football guru then. Self-proclaimed.
Hey,
self-proclaimed
Not
football
self-proclaimed. There has been
No
factual
one else has ever-
evidence.
guru. No one else has
Factual
proclaimed
evidence.
it. So
Factual evidence
by
of
definition of
such claim.
self-proclaimed,
No,
it's only
this
been
goes
you.
all the way back. I told you, if Japan won the group, you got to give me football guru, and they did, and
we've been around the channel for too long. Okay, Andres, why is Honduras in 3 for you then?
Okay, so as you can, I just want to, you probably can't see, but you can see probably a little cross out right here, right?
No.
Honduras was there in second. They were. And then I was doing some research, and I went, this is interesting. So, Honduras obviously is a good side, but they're choke artists. You got to remember this. You got to take that into account. No matter what happens, they're always choke artists. Yeah, maybe they're top of their group, yada, 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 but they're always second best at the end of the day. And, you'd be like, obviously, if they're second best, you'd put them second. No, not when you have a little bias that kicks in, obviously. But for El Salvador's sake, in my defense, they're in third right now of the World Cup qualifiers. A little tough for my argument for them. But in head-to-head matches against Honduras, they tied 1-1. So their head-to-head will be very important for this group. I think Honduras, El Salvador for the second place. Because look, they can tie Curacao 1-1 or 0-0 or something, right? Going to the next game, and then let's say Honduras, played Canada, they got 0 points out of that. All right, so the game's on. There's a chance. There's a chance. There's a lot of factors that can go into this. A lot of different scenarios where they can get out of this and get second place. And I think Honduras, when they face each other, it's a really tough game. So I just think I can see El Salvador squeaking by, and it'll change up in the group. That's my prediction, anyways. And then Honduras are just I don't really care for them a whole lot because they're choke artists, and they may or may not play dirty. But I'm just not gonna say anything. Not gonna accuse anyone of anything, but I'm going to say may or may not, allegedly, can play dirty. A little biased one in that one, but I can promise you first place has no bias whatsoever.
Did it?
But hey, look, at least I gave you some facts this time instead of just saying straight up, that's that. All right? So come with some slack here.
That's a win. You know what? That is a win.
And they beat Honduras 1-0 in World Cup qualifiers a long time ago, but it doesn't matter.
How long?
Yeah, what year was that?
Last World Cup qualifiers. So
okay. Pre-2022.
2022 is the limit.
Yeah.
So it's relevant enough. That's all I gotta say. But I put Honduras 3. So
Joaquin, your number 2 then would be.
We're going. Okay, wait, 3 or 2.
I mean, who do you have in number? Do you have somebody else in 3 that?
No, Curacao. Well, we were talking about that, but sure.
Okay.
We can go 2.
I was making sure. I'm like, did I forget something?
No. Okay, we can go 2 though.
All right, your number 2 would be.
Honduras. Personally, I feel like they they made it to the quarterfinals of the Nations League. I don't know. I just feel like of the other two, they could beat them potentially in those games. Obviously, they're not going to finish first, but I think they're a solid place for second.
I like it. There you go. Please, your vibe check. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. I didn't want to interrupt you. Please, if you have comments.
I appreciate that.
That's so lovely. So nice.
Look at this chivalry, if you will. Chivalry. Yeah, I got Honduras finishing 2. I like this Honduras team. They, on paper, right? You can glance at it, and it's not an amazing team. They have some great players like Luis Palma, Kevin Arriaga. They have some good players that are playing in top leagues around the world. But Honduras just knows how to play together very well. And I think a big thing for them, right, to make sure they finish second at least, and to advance out of this group, is the Hondurans need to show up. Because if you remember, and obviously they're not playing in Honduras, that if they were playing in Honduras, I would almost want to put them first. But if you remember that game against Mexico, a big reason why they won that first game is because they played in Honduras, because it's very, very hard to play in Honduras for the opponent's team. They make it very hard for the other team to get in the groove, both on the field and in the stands. So if the Hondurans show up for this team in the Gold Cup, I think they got second down on lock. Without them, I still think they squeeze by, but I think it's gonna be a little harder. But I think Honduras are just very talented. They know how to play Concacaf very well. So I think Honduras finishes too. Dig already said his second place. Andres, give us your reasons. That is it El Salvador finishing in?
Yes, sir.
In
Yes,
second?
sir. I'm not that crazy. You know what I mean? Like, come on now.
Well, I mean,
Look,
Canada.
I'll say this to recover some credibility for the overall channel, not myself, because that's already in the negatives. You know, I don't got to worry about that. But they could be interchangeable. I'm just saying, I can see a scenario in my football guru knowledge of being able to predict things. I can see a chance of El Salvador getting second. So confident, I'll put money on it. Little fiver, little tenner maybe for a second place finish for El Salvador.
just a little money though.
Well,
Something you won't
like
miss.
it's a good payout because the odds aren't very good in their favor. So I'm just saying it's a solid payout. $10, $10 into $100, $90 profit right there. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, in second place El Salvador. I'm not too biased. I'm just saying I can see it. I can see it. There's an interchange that could happen, but I'm gonna go with El Salvador. I'm gonna stick with it. So yeah.
We just finished that whole discussion with you saying it's not that biased. I'm not that biased.
No, I'm not. I presented some facts. Some facts. The facts won me over because as I showed you,
you're biased as a result of.
No. As I showed you earlier, I had Honduras second and I crossed them out. Originally, my initial thought was Honduras. Then I did some research. And I went.
My initial thoughts.
My initial thoughts. I was like, okay, and then.
So biased, you can't even talk right about it. So biased, you can't even talk right. Well, much like Group A, the consensus is that a spot, the first team in the what would it be? I guess selection of the group. Canada's got number one here, right? Canada's pretty confident they should begin this number one. If they don't finish number one, then I think we can confidently say that Jesse Marsh should be
washed.
I'm sorry.
Washed.
I'm sorry.
Washed.
This team needs to finish ninth. Should finish first with 9 points.
I agree.
100%. I don't see Canada faltering against anybody here, and if they do, I think immediately questions need to start being asked. They're going to go into this cup with arguably the best team on paper, if not one of the best teams on paper. They should be killing Curacao, El Salvador, and Honduras, which is great because maybe 2 years ago you couldn't say that about Canada, and now look at them. But yeah, I mean Canada's going number one. There's just no.
They got to handle business. They got to make a statement here. You know what I mean? Like, because we made some questions. Overall, general public's made some questions on the credibility of Canada because of their recent run, right? But it is just a statement performance. You're show up, take care of business, secure 3 wins, get those 9 points, and then move on to the group stage. And then convincingly though. Like, this can't just be like a squeaking by, like, oh, we barely beat Honduras 90th minute winner. You know what I mean? Like, we dominated the entire game type situation. And, same thing you say about Mexico. Like, you can put that pressure on Mexico and all that jazz, that too. But at the same time, Canada, I think, has more of a point to prove with this in terms of being at the top for this competition and not just falling down the rankings, being on a high and then that was it. That was their only high. They needed some consistency here. So no pressure, though, Canada. So
no pressure though. Just be like the best team ever, real quick in the history of Gold Cup.
Yeah.
No, I mean 100%.
And also for the whole thing, never lost a game. Win the entire thing.
For the sake of moving on in an easier fashion, you Canada needs to finish first. Like you then go on to play the second place team of I forget which group exactly, but a different group. I think it's Group C. You play the second place team there, which we'll talk about in this next video. So make sure to stick around and watch that one, whoever that may be. But to give themselves the best position to move forward into that final and win it, they're going to have to finish first here. You can't get around that. They need to finish first here without a shadow of a doubt. But does anybody else have any comments about Canada before I end this one? Because it's very clear cut here.
I was going to say, I was looking at their matchups right now, and their first game is in Vancouver against Honduras, which is huge for Canada. It makes that game just a little bit easier. And they get to play basically at home, so they don't have to travel. They have the fans on their side. Because let's be honest, how many Honduras fans are going to British Columbia? Not many. So
I think Canada have out now.
Yeah, I know, literally.
So I think Canada have a great opening game. That should be a solid statement win. Then they play Curacao again. Curacao are probably one of the weaker teams here, so they should win that.
Hey, hey, I don't know. Those arguments convinced me. I don't know. I might change up my group now.
I will say that this is getting a little technical here, but the game is in Houston, and it's a little earlier in the day, just a little bit, so it's gonna be hot. I
Too
don't
much
know,
vibes,
maybe
too.
Not enough snow
Maybe-
for Canadians.
some of these Central Americans, you know, they're used to the heat. I'm just gonna put that out there. They're used to the heat.
Okay,
So,
but
would that be a
You can't use that.
these
as a-
Canadian players don't all play in Canada. Like they spend most of the year not in Canada. So
true? But I mean,
no, it's the snow, bro. You gotta cover the snow.
I'm sorry.
The
Out of their
snow.
element, yes. If a polar bear went to Houston, the polar bear would not do that well. I think it's the same
That's
logic
right.
there. Okay, I
he would
understand.
overheat. Hey, there you go. Yeah.
My dearest apologies.
I meant more in general that in the Central American teams, they typically do play in that area, and they'll be used to it. Comparably to, especially if you're like in Europe, and some of those, especially like in like those countries like Germany, it's more tends to be more cold. But we're getting off topic here. That was my point. Was
Oh,
that
little
geography
meteorology here.
lesson.
Take it.
Geography, meteorology,
meteorology?
Yeah, the
fancy
weather
weather,
and shit. Yeah.
fancy term for the weather.
Wow. Hey, I mean, this is an analysis. This is the predictions. We need to take everything into account, and we may be the
That's right.
only channel on YouTube
Take into the
to be
weather.
discussing the atmospheric pressures and
That's right.
the state of the climate at
Hey,
the
the
time.
I just want to double check. The game's not an indoor stadium, right? It's an outdoor stadium.
Well, it's in Houston,
I-
as Houston would be.
Houston Texans. They have a.
Show Energy Stadium. Houston Dynamo. I don't
Okay,
know.
I don't-
I'm probably assuming.
No,
it's the
they
Dynamo.
play outdoors. That's an outdoor stadium.
I just thought it would be hilarious if it was at the Houston Texans
yeah,
Stadium.
this whole
and
argument
it's
would have just been out the window. Well, I think that's going to be it for our Group B predictions. Of course, if you're at this point in the video, I appreciate you a lot. Make sure to leave a like down below. And of course, let us know in the comments down below how you think this group is going to be finishing, because we will be reading and reacting to as many as we can. We got a lot of Gold Cup content planned for Group B, all these teams in it, and every other group and beyond in the next few weeks to a month. So make sure to stick around and subscribe for that. Hopefully see you guys in future videos. It's going to be from us. Take care.